to get Enzo Burgan. So Enzo was actually kind enough to give us notes as well, and he joined the Discord. So he was running a Tactics Brigade. Let me make sure I bring this up clean. Yeah, and he was also, let's see, so he had two Beast Bosses with the enhancement of Mork's Cunning, Big Mech and Mega Armor with Mech Captain, two Big Mechs with Shock Attack Gun, one with a Gaba Boomer, and then a Boss Snickrock, followed by two 10-man units of Snaggas, two 5-man units of Storm Boys, three trucks, three trucks, Flash Gitz, three minimum size unit of Gretchen. You obviously need a 10 Flash Gitz, sorry. Three minimum size unit of Gretchen, two kill rigs. Yes, you're seeing that right. Two kill rigs. Commando unit with the Breacher Ram and a Power Claw, and then two Tankbuster units. Love to see it. The kill rigs. So he does have a lot to say about the kill rigs. Let me clear some of these tabs real quick so I don't get lost in the sauce with all the notes we have here. Yeah. So he's really high on the on the kill rigs. And the reason he's high on the kill rigs is because he really takes advantage of the redeployment stratagem. Enhancement. So he did practice a lot, he said, with that. Most of his practice reps that he was getting through was really focusing on taking advantage of the enhancements of Mork's Cunning. And that was quite cunning of him. And it's the same thing. He's mirroring what Mark Perry said last week, where Mark Perry did the same thing with his list, where he made it very important and fundamental that he brought the enhancement and took advantage of it with brig units that forced the enemy to deploy themselves in a certain negative way, and then we as orc players take advantage of that. So when we go over his notes, he'll express how that happened. So Enzo did end up he did drop game one. And that is unfortunate. He still did well overall and had great scores. But he had the loss that he took is actually important for his notes and the kill rigs. So for Enzo's, let me talk about his notes as for the archetype of his list. So in his head, every tool on his list is for killing. It helps with threat overload, and it can also do skirmishing quite well, meaning it's diverse into other small units that are kind of used as bait sometimes that you can actually winning the exchange in and actually taking advantage of the skirmish. So he made this list wall around turn 3, which I find somewhat common in at least in my games as well. So it's very wise that you ended up leaning into that, because most of my games have been kind of turn 3 walls as well. He tried to set up perfect walls best he could. That's where I really like the beast bosses as well. Beast bosses allow you to play the game earlier without committing to a wall because they can do damage and kill things. That's why having 2 units of them is really effective. But nonetheless, very important for him, especially on Crucible battle maps, that the kill rigs were redeployed and abused correctly. So in order for whenever he needed to WAAGH, he would make sure that his important units would actually get into combat. Whether it was the kill rigs, well, actually, here's something I need to point out very, very immediate that I should have said earlier. He learned from his first game into the Leagues of Votann not to embark your kill rigs, your Snagga Boyz, into the kill rig. This is something that we spoke about a little bit when we did the debate with Happy Crumper, where we were talking about, the utility of a kill rig, and that is not simply a transport. This is something where Enzo felt as well, and this game kind of solidified it for him, where he didn't actually put the Beast Snagga Boy units into the kill rigs. He was actually keeping them outside of that. That way you can't pop them and then get a juicy target and get a straight 300-point trade nearly from just shooting the kill rig with the full of boys, Snagga Boyz. Instead, you use them so that you can get out and skirmish early and kill kind of odd units and bait the enemy into killing the kill rigs. So that's really cunning of him. Most people just want to use the kill rigs for transporting and running around the table. He made sure not to keep it that simple. Shout out to our sponsors, the Baron of Dice, as they helped us do our Waaaghtaktiks dice. So shout them out. Check them out in the description, 5% off in the discount, because nobody likes taxes. And shout out to Baron of Dice. They allow us to do our paint competition. So thank you very much to them. So now I'll talk about his list. It's his first matchup. So first game, though, it was very wise. The enemy player was quite wise. He said, let's see what this guy got. He has, where's the character? There he is. It looks weird how it's worded 5 times for the Iron Master. You see that? That's why it caught me off guard for a second. So he said he has a Broknir Iron Master. He has 3 of those for the whole list. That's 2. Right, 2 of them. One with Appraising Glare, one with Grim Demeanor, 1 unit of Hearthkin Warriors. I like that they can split into 2 small units, combat squad. 1 unit of Broknir Thunderkin with the Graviton Blast Cannon, 3 units of Berserkers. This mole launcher will be important. We have the 10-man unit of Jaegers. These guys are their infiltrators, their version of commandos. Pretty cheap though. These guys also have a reactive move you have to keep in mind when you play against them. One big unit of the Pioneers. So typically they use the 3-man units to play the edges of the table and kind of come in and on and off and play later the game if they can, score as many points for them as they can. But they do like to take advantage of this Pioneer unit for the damage, and it really can pop off if you respect it, especially into orcs where it's that strength, 6 and volume of fire. Then we have 2 Hecaton land fortresses followed by 4 Sagittars. Quite typical kind of list. I would say the one thing that caught me, I wouldn't say the most typical because it doesn't have the Terminators. Right? It doesn't look like it actually has Terminators, but he does have a lot of these Berserker units. So let's talk about, and I think that's like the new meta for these League of Votann guys. So he had into League of Votann, he said he made the big mistakes by taking his Tankbustas out and then just overcommitting every Tankbuster plus a shock attack gun into one Sagittar, horribly overkilling it. You can in fact split fire with this unit circumstantially. I would say more favorable than others. Let's say you can throw some bomb squigs into your selected target that's actually near to you. You can put the pistols into that one. There's a chance you can take the shock attack gun or into the far down range unit, have a couple of the rockets aim that way, and then the rest of your guys hit with their already hurt unit. You could also obviously throw a grenade at that unit to weaken it. So I'm not always in favor of split firing, keep in mind, but there are certain units and times that you actually can with that. So he said that he overcommitted by doing that, which left him open, ended up killing him. It was a very important lesson for him to learn. He ended up using the mole launchers to slow his Flash Gitz so they really couldn't move. The -2 movement was a big deal, especially for that big unit. Then you really can't get guys in line of sight, consistently and keep that overwatch going with that unit. So that sucked. Of course, you have to keep in mind that the mole launcher is only on a 4+, but the guy had 3 of them. So he was able to just throw multiple of them at him. It just has to hit you. On a 4+ and -2 to your movement, and I think advanced charges as well. And embarking the kill rigs was a huge mistake that he decided he wouldn't do anymore at that event, and he didn't. So not what you want to do, but he held his ground and he was like, hey, I'm not gonna give in. I'm gonna keep going through, and he ended up winning all the rest of his. So something else he said, I see you guys in the chat. What's up, chat? Whoa! One thing I also want to say is that he did give some notes about a little more notes about these units. So one thing is the Flash Gitz are the main reason he played this detachment, and he would absolutely not bring anything other than the Big Mech and Mega Armor for the 4-up info, and then being able to put stealth on it. It made the unit very respectably durable. He said the tank busters and the shock attack guns are obviously amazing. Most people are aware of how amazing that unit is at this point. But what I really liked was he took the Beast Boss over the Snagga Boyz, which is something we've been talking about in the channel and the Discord as well. Is that there's very obvious weaknesses that the Breaker Boys kind of reach, and they kind of cost more. But in turn, the Snagga Boyz are less CP hungry. They can activate outside of the wall if they have to, even though they're really good on the wall special. They're more effective into these units like Katans, for example, Demons, where you can just simply re-roll and put volume of simple attacks into them instead of hoping that your very low volume of tank attacks actually go through. Mind you, the Breaker Boys don't actually have great AP either, so dev wounds make a difference in the matchups that matters. So nonetheless, that helped the overload of the archetype of having 2 of those units, which I'm in big favor of too. If you've seen my list example, that's what I put on there. So nonetheless, the kill rigs. So he said the kill rigs, he gave me a huge 3 paragraphs about it. So he said they're amazing. He absolutely loved them. But yes, he does not put units inside of them, and taking advantage of the redeploy is the most vital thing that they can do, and then using them as kind of a skirmishing or bait kind of units. So let's go into his turn, his game 2. I had to point out those more notes because I've seen them. Because the next game was a mirror matchup into a Dread Mob. So shout out to the Dread Mob player, Andrew Armstrong. Playing the Dread Mob because I'm a big fan of Dread Mob. So we have 2 Big Macs with shock attack guns, and then with Pressive Fasta, Boss Nickra, 3 minimum size units of Gretchen. Not enough Gretchen, I'm just kidding. 1 truck, 2 5-man units of Flash Gitz, and then 2 big bricks of Killacan. So I've actually ran max Killacans before, and then a 3-man unit Killacans. For a while I was running max Killacans. They can actually devastate certain armies in matchups. They have such great output with their rerolls and being able to pop the strats for damage and reduce damage when being shot at. Highly respectable, but slow moving units. We have a commando and obviously very open targets once they're exposed. A commando unit, 2 looter units, a 3-man unit of Mega Knobs, followed by a Mork and then the Stormboy unit. One thing we were gonna say here is that he did give me notes for this one, and he said this what was important in this game is that when he redeployed, he decided to kind of bait out the killicans, and then he pretty much hit everything. Actually, no, I read the one too early. He said he was able to hide everything and get up staging for getting first because he went first. The enemy opponent deployed a little too cagey against him, probably because the amount of DACA he actually had, and he was scared of his, like I said, killicans getting exposed. He destroyed early. He ended up playing cagey. So Enzo ended up turning Juan turn 3, drive the dagger in, screamed out commandos, and then redeployed his commandos. Redeployed his kill rig to bait the killicans, and then he was able to kind of deal with them in that sense. Nonetheless, his army felt like he shot just as hard as that Dreadmob player, but he also had stealth and movement tricks. So that would be quite annoying to have stealth on your units because killicans are hitting on 4s natively, only one's doing the rerolls. That's the thing of having multiple of those units. And if you're playing KG, it means you didn't use one in reserve, or if you did, then you can't get it on the table. So that's hard. It's hard to pull off the killicans, but hey, shout out to you and your dread mob. Whoa, Andrew Armstrong. So we move on to game, and then that was a 94-point win. Then we move on to game 3, where we have the Tal Empire with the Retaliation Cadre. One thing is, Enzo did say he had a lot of reps into this army. So he had 2 Cadre Fireblades, followed by 1 Commander Farsight, and then a Cold Star, 2 different Cold Star commanders in battle suits. One with Infernus Grenade Racks, and the other with Stolf, the Star Flare, followed by 1 commander in the Enforcer battle suit as the Warlord. 2 units of Breachers. These guys are great when you're on an objective. They absolutely devastate you. They can get re-rolls from that, and their strength 6 on that as well. And let's see if they had Devilfish. Didn't have Devilfish in this case. We have one knife fight battle suit unit with shield drones and some plasma rifles, followed by Starsight battle suits. These do have the flamers, so these actually have at least respectable Overwatch. I believe it's only strength 4 though. Then we have Sunforge Crisis suits with some drones, gun drones. These guys put respectable amount of fire on there, firepower down range. Do you have 2 of those? Yeah, he had 2 of those units. Sorry. Followed by 2 Ghost Keels, a Pathfinder unit, another Pathfinder unit, and then 3 3-man units of Stealth Suit, followed by a Vespid. So would really miss the Devilfish on this matchup. In this list. Other than that, a little character heavy, but that's probably where the Devilfish should be. So we have for the notes here, he was Scorched Earth, GW layout, and he went first. Again, did he go further there? Yeah, he went first. So on this one, he said to play a lot in Total. He said he just felt like the Tankbustas and the Flash Gitz shot his army to shreds. Keep in mind, Overwatch did and would devastate this matchup. Being able to strength 6 is a decent threshold for them. I mean, I think it's winning them on 4s, or the T5 or T4, I don't remember. But it does do quite well into them and any other TAL unit that's on the game. So you don't have to shoot them because I think they got pretty good armor saves. Might have 2 up, but they'll move into the open a lot of the time because they're trying to get lanes to fire you as well as an orc. But you can just Overwatch any TAL unit that you get your hands on that you get full line of sight to, and you'll do devastating damage. So I like that you took advantage of that. Big deal was, of course, screening out this army. If the TAL player decides you're going to put stuff in reserve, of course, anytime someone does use an orc player, always screen very cautiously and then full commit going forward, because now that means they're missing assets to push you off them and get you off their deployment zone or off the mid table. Therefore, be aggressive if someone overcommits into reserves. Nonetheless, great job there for running over the Tau Empire. Then that was a 85-point win. Then we go into game 4, where it was against Daemons Chungus with the Plague Legion. So these guys are the Battle Shock boys. So this is we're cooking here. You can forget these guys give you nasty Battle Shock. Orcs don't have the best leadership. So it was Purge the Foe on FLG terrain, and he went second. He felt that was very lucky. I agree. And I agree for Purge the Foe, and you explained it quite well. He said, nonetheless, he said if he went first, the Nurgling player probably would have beat him up, and then because he could have just messed him up with was Nurgling Jail, because he was against Nurgling Jail. Oh, and actually, I have to show you his full list. What the heck am I doing? We have a Demon Prince, followed by a Great Unclean One, the Droning Shroud, and then another Great Unclean One with Font Spores, a Poxbringer, Rotigus, and then Sloppity Biopiper with Canker Blight. And then here you can see the Nurgling jail. So he has 3 big old thick units of Nurglings. God, it's so much dumb ablative wounds to chew through that you're just hating on it as an orc player anyways. And they have a 6-up influence here, just like, oh, that's kind of dumb. Then we have 5 units of Plague Bearers. There was also a small 3-man unit of Nurglings too. And then 2 Beast of Nurgle. So it was the game was very much about, hey, I'm going to put all of these Nurglings in your front line, hold you there. I'm going to sticky objective this stuff while my big fat Chungus boys walk around and get ready to score and keep you off the game and giving you nasty battle shock. So he said for this matchup, obviously remember the Nurglings have -1 to hit when you punch them with your infantry. So you having combined arms is a huge deal. And having Flash Gitz being able to clean up one of those units quickly is a big deal. He said the fallback and charge strat was amazing and helpful for this. He intentionally took desperate escape tests with his grots. What that means is he ended up using his grot units to screen those big units of Nurglings. I'm assuming from charging him. Marched up into them, either allowed them to charge him or he charged them. Nonetheless, they survived the combat, and then instead of falling backwards, he intentionally fell forward to take the desperate escape check just to gain more ground. Very cunning, and that's what you should definitely always do as an orc player. Keep taking ground and clean up what's left over, right? Act as a big Spartan line to a certain degree. So he said turn 3, he ended up Waaaghing and getting some good charges off. Overwatch really made a big difference for this game because it kept him always having to do one less kill more, or made his kill more easier. So that made a big deal because he was just kill something or hurt something on Overwatch. And then the kill rigs really helped him really chip down stuff with the war tower and then just stack saves. Tank shock was a big deal for him as well, because he had to do stuff like finish off the Demon Prince, and then the Beast Snagga Boyz lethals were a big deal. And that is a big deal, right? Something like the Breaker Boys, they could simply just bounce because these guys have 4 up invulns, and then you're just like, oh, not enough volume, and maybe the Nurglings were nearby because the 3-man unit didn't commit early, so then now you're -1 to hit in combat from the Nurglings too. Oops, your Breaker Boys just bounce. That's where Beast Snagga Boyz just go, hey, I'm gonna pop lethal and then maybe get another strength for my kill rig, try to get to strength 7 to make a different breaking point, or 8 7 I believe all you need. I think those guys are T13. So that's where he took advantage and then ended up chewing through his opponents and winning the game. So that's a great win right there. That for orcs, or just that's a hard matchup sometimes. So good job. Round 4, he got 89 points. Then we move on. So I see you guys in chat. Let's see what you guys are saying. Let's see what you guys are getting. Water the chat. See everybody there. Dude, okay, you're just asking questions. Oh, shout out to Jay Hewen for 5 Waaaghtaktiks gifted memberships. Whoa, that's what's up, bro. Thank you very much. Very generous of you, as always. Huge supporter. I got to get your info sometime. Give you some dice or something, dude. So thank you very much. Shout out to him. Put some war bosses in chat for this get, because he's always supporting and helping the channel. He's always giving memberships out, and we're gonna improve our membership soon here. So stay tuned for that. But thank you very much, Jay Hoon. Hope I make you proud. Then we move into his game 5. This is where he goes into Astra Militarum, Bridgehead, Strike Force. So this is all the craze right now. So we have Gaunt's Ghost, Ursula Creed, Militarum Tempestus Command Squad, another Militarum Tempestus Command Squad, and then a third Militarum Tempestus Command Squad. A bunch of special weapons and getting orders, dropping down with scions. Then we have two tank commander units, followed by a Cadian shock unit. 1, 2, 3, 4 big bricks of scions, followed by a unit of rattlings. These guys have infiltrate. That's most likely why he brought them. I believe they still have infiltrate. Then he has another jetpack unit, but this is Tempestus Aquilons, so he just brought even more jetpack boys that can come down, followed by 2 5-man units of Adelan Rough Riders, and then a Grey Knight Terminator ally. That's unusual. I like it. So as for this one, this is game 5. Game 5, right? Yeah. So he said again, redeploy was a huge factor winning the game based off his redeploy. Kill rig started on the flanks, and the opponent respected them with the big guns on the flanks, and then he redeployed them to the middle, so that his opponent would have to move to the middle and shoot them with their tanks instead of being able to take advantage of the flanks. Then he cracked his tanks with Tankbustas and patiently decided to wand turn 3 once he lined up some charges to prevent his scions from coming down. Prevent his scions from preventing with bringing up his scions. He also screened out his infiltrates with his commandos. So I think that was the rattlings, like I mentioned. And then he redeployed his commandos into his backfield. That way, everything else that was killing in the army can go forward. Also, so you can take advantage of using his grots as an OC bomb, of course, to swing some of those from other battle line units. And then he said that the enemy took a secret mission, and he ended up scoring the secret mission, but his primary was too high, and doing all of the actions made a big difference. Of course, this was ritual, so a lot of objectives all over the table, and people are going to score a lot in that one. So you have to do your secondaries. So great job by that. Everybody knows that another army you have to expect to see are these Adeptus, Astra Militarum. So there's this silent spam, right? So great job on that win. Then we go into his last matchup, which is the Ultramarine, which is the Ironstorm Spearhead. The Lieutenant with Kami weapon, Malnius Calgar, Rubute Gilliman, and then a Tech Marine with Adeptus of the Omnissiah, a Intercessor Squad for Sticky, 3 Ballistas Dreadnoughts, a Company of Heroes unit, a Gladiator Lancer, an Inceptor Squad, an Infiltrator Squad, and then 2 Vindicators. So another army you have to be really aware of seeing is just Space Marines as a whole, I guess. In this one, he said it was Terraform versus Ironstorm, and that he went second. Kill rigs were a real MVP alongside the Flash Gitz. He felt like his lists were so tuned for killing this kind of list. Yeah, we do really well into Space Marines in my opinion right now. The enemy ended up putting a Gladiator on one of the flanks, again taking advantage of the kill rig. He pulled it simply off that spot instead of getting shot and put it into reserves. He put Snickrot in the open to do Terraform and force him to bring down the Inceptors. And so there was no other really threats to his backfield at that point with Flash Gitz and Tankbustas. And I think he said some crazy stuff. Oh yeah, he said some crazy. He overwatched. I think he overwatched the one of these he overwatched that Lancer and killed it. So that was a great job. Otherwise, he hit the wall on turn 3, put some good staging unit, and then put the kill rig back on the field on turn 3, and the game was kind of over by there. So great job by you for taking out Space Marines in that one, because everybody knows Space Marines are always all over the meta. So 88-point win there. Great job by you. We'll talk about some final notes that he said here. He said his MVPs were a split between Kill Rigs and the Flash Gitz. The Flash Gitz were really strong on their own, but the Kill Rigs were also really redeployed because they really forced the enemy's hand with the redeploy shenanigans. But they're cheap enough that you're willing for them to die and to put them on early as bait, but they're not necessarily deniable by the enemy that they can be ignored. They can't just allow a kill rig to run up the table at them. Not putting anything inside them just means you're acting like it's a monster with the vehicle keyword. So that's pretty dope because you're taking advantage of tank shock and stuff, which is also very important. He said he also liked the +1 strength additional in his opinion. The units that are on the chopping block for this one are Commandos and Snickrot, but in reality, he really feels like he needs to keep the Commandos. So Snickrot's the most on the chopping block for that. He would put God Boomer on a Beast Boss instead. That way he can actually get closer to enemy units, and he's less likely to fail the breaking heads because he has better leadership, as he wants to give orders to Storm Boys and other units that are off the table, and they're usually closer to them with the Beast Boss. So other than that, great job by Mr. Enzo. He actually is going to be on another channel doing an interview called Adeptus Paternus. I'm going to put it in the chat. Paternus, and just spell it out. It's Adeptus and then PaterNus. All right, if anybody wants to see it for his own personal interview, that way you guys can actually hear his firsthand point of view if you want. And he's in the Discord, and he'll be in the comments replying to anybody who has anything to say about that. So shout out to Enzo one more time. We have 2 Beast Bosses, one with Mork's Cunning, 2 Big Macs with Shock Attack Gun, one with God Boomer, the Big Mac and Mega Armor with Met Captain, and then Boss Snickrot as the Warlord. 2 10-man units of Beast Snagga Boyz, followed by a 5-man unit of Storm Boys, 3 trucks, 3 minimum size units of Gretchens. I really like that, and it seemed to come in handy. 10-man unit of Flash Gitz, 2 kill rigs, 1 commando unit with the Breacher unit Ram and the Power Claw, followed by 2 Tankbusta MVPs. So he's also in the chat, so shout out to him. Adeptus Acrylis. So if you see him in the comment section, just know that's him. War for the Taktikal Brigade. If you enjoyed the clip, check out the full video here. If you'd like to see more tactics, click here.
Let's get stuck in, lads!